Fhs Season Tickets.
Back to another episode of FHS Season Tickets. I'm Nick.
And I'm Michael, and we have a guest on the show, so would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Tyler Smith with arenafanatic.com. Founded the site back in 2011. We do college football previews, NBA previews, every sports preview you can imagine. We do it. We do a weekly preview for college football. We also do arena and stadium reviews on the site. I do those, every one of them. So that's just the gist of what we do on the website.
I love the dog. I love the dog in the background.
You like the dog?
Yeah.
That's actually cool, the arena review thing. I haven't heard that. That's a really original, so good job for that. But now, are we going to get into the Indians? Are we going to have to already?
It pains me to open up the show with something so
Tyler
negative.
is actually, you're from Northeast Ohio, right? Or you're from Ohio?
So, I'm originally from Cincinnati, but I went to Cleveland State.
Okay.
I grew up a Indians and Braves fan.
Okay.
And I worked at Progressive Field when I was in college.
Okay.
So I'm all in on the Tribe.
Yes, definitely
that game
on.
last night was unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. I, for one, am not a baseball fan. I'll gladly admit it. But playoff baseball, I've been watching. I'm obviously a sports fan. But the playoffs have been, pretty amazing. And I cannot believe what occurred last night. We were down 5-1, I think going into the 7th inning, right? And then that's when we got those.
Yeah, we got the 2 runs to cut it to. We were down 4-1. Got the 2 runs to make it 4-3. Then they scored again. They scored twice. Then
I think we were down 5-1.
We got a
at
run.
One point.
No, because the wild pitch.
It was
5-1,
and then
and then the wild pitch.
I think Ross.
Yeah, Ross, the catcher, Grandpa Ross.
Yeah.
David Ross hit that big homer after he let the wild pitch go by.
Mm-hmm. That gave us
when
2.
They brought in Lester. When they brought in Lester, I mean, you have that was such a questionable move.
I know.
Hendricks was looking great.
I know.
And then all of a sudden they bring in Lester to try to end it, and whoa, that was pretty wild. So and then Ross makes all the errors. And then he comes back and hits a bomb, and you're just like, okay.
I know.
It's over.
He hits a solo home run. I haven't even seen this man connect on one single thing. Then again, the Indians haven't been doing that good in batting, and then we saw a pretty high score. Granted, it was extra innings, and then towards the end of the game, as you guys know, when it was ninth, when it was the bottom of the ninth, we got through the top of the ninth, I was like. And then when it was the bottom of the ninth, I thought we were going to end it. I thought we were the team of destiny, similar to the Cavs, but I guess all those 3-1 lead jokes, you could say it was all those 3-1 lead jokes that finally caught up to us. You could say it was the less amount of talent that we had on our team, but we ended up taking the loss. What was it, 8-7 final score?
Yeah,
but,
8-7.
I, for one, I don't know, I'm interested to hear what you guys think. I, for one, don't think it's a blown 3-1 lead. Like everyone's saying, I think that this team is taking a look at it. The Cubs outmatched us in almost every single category that you can, batting, pitching, almost everything, and we just had the heart to go up 3-1 and then provide a thrilling Game 7, which I know it's going to sting in the hearts of almost every single Cleveland fan. Stung in my heart last night. I was just sitting there in shock, but I think this Cleveland Indians team went above and beyond the Call of Duty, and I think that we should at least be proud that we went to the World Series. Now, my co-host over here is saying that in baseball, it's very uncommon to go back to the World Series after the next year, so I'm sure we're all going to be disappointed about that, but we are a young team, but I don't think it's a blown 3-1 lead. I think that the Indians I am actually proud and excited for this Indians team. Mike, what do you think?
I mean, you're not a baseball guy, and you asked me, you were like, how did the Cubs get so stacked? And
I know, they got
really
so
are
stacked. They're
stacked
so
team.
stacked. It's unreal. They're bad. You have to be worried any time they come to the plate, except Baez. I don't know if you watch. Well, I'm sure you watched the finals last year, but the Cavs. I compared Javier Baez to Harrison Barnes.
I think it's a stretch.
Oh, man. Javier Baez has got one of the best gloves in the game, and you get 2 errors.
I know.
In the game 7.
I know, that's what I was saying. I couldn't die.
He came back, and he had a big hit, too.
Yeah. I know, he did. Him and Ross.
Someone I followed compared him to Carlos Gomez. And I don't know why. I instantly, like, it clicked with me.
No,
they both seem like head cases with great gloves.
I am interested in what you guys think. What do you perceive this as, and what do you think the world will perceive this as? At least what do you think that people will be saying about this Indians team in this World Series, like in the future?
Well, I think going forward, they're going to be a solid contender going forward. Detroit is the team that always concerns me because they have a big payroll. The Indians probably need... I mean, we didn't have 2 starters that we typically would have. Michael Brantley comes into the season as our best player.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even factor into really anything that
we were expecting him back in June.
Yeah. So, if you look at it, next year, who knows? I mean, it's going to be tough for him to get back, but I had him 4th in the MLB preview this season. That's almost as poor as the attendance record the Indians had during the regular season.
Season ticket fans,
Indians.
Book it. I'm watching a regular season game next year. Book it.
1?
It's down.
Or 2?
Oh, wow.
Well, it'll be a watch as it goes. Like, if they win 1 when I'm watching it, I'll keep on watching until we win. No, I'm joking. Baseball is more exciting than I thought it ever could be. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the NBA, obviously, huge fan of football, even though NFL's been down this year. But baseball is not going to, like, go away and, like, as I thought it would. I thought it would just, like, crumble away. But, again,
baseball
the Indians
has a knack for, like, getting historic Game 7s. Like, just in the past 20 years, Indians, Marlins, Diamondbacks versus Yankees, then the Indians versus the Cubs, and then probably the best game was Game 6 of Cardinals versus Rangers. So somehow the MLB seems to, like, figure out how to get some historical great games.
Too bad we're on the losing end of both of those historic games we're in. But
yeah.
I think now this World Series is done. I think it's time to talk to Tyler, who is truly here, talk to him about some college football. How about it?
Yeah, so the
Real
first
quick.
thing
you guys see the ratings for last night's game?
No, what was it?
Yes, 40
It
mil.
was like 43 million.
Yeah, 40 million, and it had a 43 overnight rating in Cleveland and only a 37 in Chicago.
That's awesome.
Cleveland, I know you mentioned the attendance numbers. Cleveland has low attendance, but they typically have pretty solid TV ratings.
Dude.
Yeah.
How?
Full Sports Time Ohio.
Oh my God, 70% or 80% Cubs fans in the stadium. I don't know. I just wanted to sneak that in there. That's really depressing.
Yeah.
My friend just kept screaming whenever the Cubs did something good, and he heard cheering from the stands. He's like, "Why is there any cheering in the stands?" And the Indians did good at Wrigley. You didn't hear anything.
I know, but do we have a question starting off for him about college football or any topics? That
we're gonna first do our obviously weekly previews. We preview all the top 25 matchups, so we're gonna start that off. First top 25 game: Ohio State versus Nebraska. Nick, who do you have?
Oh, I got Ohio State. I don't think that they can lose any more. Well, obviously they have to win out, but to make the playoffs. So they're going to be determined. They're going to have the want to do it, and I don't think they're going to lose a game until Michigan comes, and then we'll decide there. I have to see what Michigan has in them. I have to see what happens with Jabril Peppers if it continues to get better. But I'm thinking that Ohio State is definitely going to get this win over Nebraska. What do you think, Mike?
I'm really worried about this game. Ohio State hasn't been impressive at all their last 2 games. Lost on the road against Penn State, only beat Northwestern by 4. I think this is a pretty ugly, low-scoring game that the Buckeyes will win, but I did take Nebraska against the spread in my picks for the week. Tyler, who do you have?
Well, that spread, it started off at 17 points, I believe.
Yeah, it started off at 17.
Huge. That's huge. And when I look at this one, I see a Nebraska team that's lost a heartbreaker to Wisconsin. That was a huge game for them. Tough test versus Northwestern. They ended up beating them. I don't see them sliding by Ohio State here. I have Ohio State 27-20. I think I got to take the points with Nebraska.
Yeah, we go straight up, but then I also do stuff on our Twitter account where I bet games against spread and over-under. But the only other ranked...
we have a Vegas bettor in the house over here. He's the resident season ticket Vegas man.
14-9 last week, so that was pretty solid.
14-9. Wow, that's pretty impressive. That's always a good one. As long as you stay.
Wait, what was your best?
I've had 3 weeks where I went one game below 500, like 12-13, 11-12, and 10-11, and then I had one 14-9 week and another 15-6 week.
Yeah,
I think another talking point on the Ohio State-Nebraska game is JT Barrett last week was just not there.
Yeah.
Still, a lot of people have dropped him off the Heisman list. Big game here versus Nebraska.
Yes, definitely.
Number 19 right now.
It's midway point.
That could definitely put him up there.
Yeah, and the only other ranked matchup of the week, such a weak week for college football, Alabama travels to Baton Rouge to take on Ed Ogeron's LSU Tigers. Nick, who do you have?
I don't know. It's just weird hearing that Ed Ogeron's LSU Tigers, but it is a reality. I'm picking Alabama. I'm just going to give LSU the decency to explain this game. Usually I just say Alabama and move on to the next person, but LSU, they have been a little bit re-energized with Orgeron. He seems like he has a knack for that. Back in USC, he got that team going, but he ended up getting fired. Or not fired, just not rehired.
Not retained, yeah.
But, I think it's going to be a similar situation, but Alabama just too stacked this year, almost like always. They have, now is it 9 defensive players and special teams players that have a touchdown this year.
Ridiculous.
That's just insane. That's just a point to how athletic their team is and how talented they are. Obviously, their defense are going to get this win. I don't think LSU's offense can really do anything. They're going to be able to shut down Leonard Fournette, I feel like. Or shut him down, maybe bold, but I'm thinking they're going to be able to,
put 8
hold
men
them
in the
off.
box. And
Hold them off to a point where LSU won't be able to move on anything. And their offense if LSU's playing as hard as they can, I think that their just offense will end up outscoring the minimum that LSU can do. Mike, what do you think?
I'm still in shock you actually gave a reason why you're picking Alabama.
Yeah.
Whenever we pick Alabama against these other ranked teams, you're like, Bama, next.
It's over. Yeah. That's how the season's going to go until they play anyone.
But yeah, I got Alabama.
I don't even know who they could play.
I think that they're obviously the clear best team in the SEC. Don't think there's really anyone that close to them between whether it's Texas A&M, Auburn, or LSU. You have at the second best team right now in the SEC. I think Alabama wins this one fairly comfortably. I think that Jalen Hurts is a solid game, and I think Lane Kiffin is really looking forward to this because I don't think people are giving Lane Kiffin the credit that he deserves for what he's done with this Alabama offense. They are putting up points consistently against some pretty solid defenses. Tyler, who do you have?
So I'm gonna take Bama here, 32-17. My other writer on the site, Matt, he's taking LSU. I mean, come on, man. So we've been talking about it back and forth.
Matt.
He's a big believer in Coach O.
Oh.
I don't believe in Coach O at all. There's nothing that I like about Coach O, especially going up versus Nick Saban. The only reason that I could see LSU winning this game is Nick Saban wants them to hire Coach O. So maybe if Coach O wins, hey, we'll hire him at LSU so we can destroy LSU the next 4 or 5 years till they fire him. That's the only way I see LSU.
I think that's a little insight on Nick Saban's mind.
Would that be the cockiest move in college football history?
Yeah, it'd be a great move.
Hey, and they could still make the playoffs too.
Because Alabama still would have Auburn left. Auburn's playing very well right now, so that could potentially be a top 10 matchup. Alabama somehow wins out. They'd be in the playoff. And you got Ed Ogeron hired at LSU. My goodness.
It would work out perfectly, but I don't know how cocky
Orgeron can coach for his job. I'm not so
risky.
sure when he has security if he can coach. So
I think if he loses this Alabama game but wins out the rest of the way, I still think they keep him.
Oh, yeah, he's fired. No, he's fired. Unless he wins this Alabama game, he's fired. LSU wants a flashy coaching job, their head coach.
Even if they beat Florida, you're still firing him?
I don't know what I would do, but this LSU program, after firing Les Miles, would definitely fire Orgeron.
Fair enough.
They're going to keep on to him. And if you look at it, since they fired Les, I mean, who have they really beat? I mean, are we talking about Ole Miss now? They're a team? They're not very good anymore. They beat Missouri, who I don't even think they could maybe win the Sun Belt at this point. They're so bad. 42-7 win that day. and Southern Miss, which I like Southern Miss, but
they lost to
that's
FSU.
That's just not going to happen. So, yeah. Alabama win big.
Yeah.
32-17.
I think we spent more time than we even had to on this topic. It's funny. I think we were just roasting Orgeron for a minute there.
There you go. I don't know if you guys have heard. Clay Travis tells a story about Ed Orgeron's first meeting with Ole Miss. If you haven't heard that, just tune into that. It's a classic. It's a classic.
I love Clay Travis. I vaguely remember that story, but don't remember any. I remember him telling it, but I don't remember any details from it.
Yeah. At the end, Ed challenged every player to come outside and fight. So
that's a bold move.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Clay's
What else do
awesome.
we got?
I love his takes, just not really his college football betting picks. So I want to ask you how you come up with your you said that your preview for college football last year was one of the top ranked sites. Can you tell us how you came up with that and what your big predictions were?
So last season we were number 1 overall, most accurate preview in the nation, over Bill Steele, which is up there in your guys' neighborhood, Lindy's, Athlon, ESPN, the whole shebang. So Matt takes 4 conferences, I take the rest. Fine look at it. I really like to know who I got at quarterback. I don't have a consistent guy at quarterback. For example, this year, Washington State, pretty much everybody picked them 4th. But you have Luke Falk back with that passing attack. You got a defense that is actually much improved. A lot of people underestimated that going into the season. So I picked them number 1. I said, number 1, Pac-12 North, book it. Right now, it's looking good. I almost fainted when they lost again to an FCS team.
Eastern Washington.
1. Yeah, I almost fainted. But that's what they did last year, and it worked out. So last season, the big team that we had that made a huge difference in the rankings was last year I picked North Carolina to win the division, which a lot of people had them 4th or 5th in the division. A lot of people were high on Georgia Tech that year. And that win alone was like a 5 or 6 point difference. So, yeah, took it home, number 1. So we got quarterback. I like to see what I got at offensive and defensive line. I like to look at the past recruiting classes. So I take the past 4 years, see what they look like there. And it's not. A lot of people say returning starters aren't that big, but it really depends on if your returning starters don't match up to those recruiting classes. If you didn't have a good recruiting class the past 4 years, then those starters could be important. So, we hope to make a splash again. We're looking pretty good right now. Hopefully, we can go back to back up.
And you're only conference standings, right?
Yeah, so we just do all the conference standings, and then if you go to statsit.com, he's the one that's been doing this for 25 years. We've only been in it. This is our 5th season, so we'll see how we stack up in the 5-year total. So it goes by conferences. You get deductible points depending on, let's say I picked Oklahoma number 1, they finished 3rd, 2 points off.
I'm actually interested on you mentioned the recruiting classes. They factor into how you preview, predict the conferences. How have you seen throughout your 5 years? How is that Is that I think that recruiting classes, obviously, they're how you get your talent. They're how you get all your players. Is that the biggest factor to you on all your predictions? Has that mattered the most, or what have you seen while you're doing these predictions?
So the recruiting classes are definitely important because you can look at it just as a whole. There's going to be some guys that drop out of a recruiting class, they transfer, all that. But my number 1 thing is quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, you are not going to win unless you're Alabama. If you have a stellar defense, you have a chance to win. But if you don't have a quarterback, I typically do not fare well in picking you.
My boys at Notre Dame have 2 quarterbacks, and they're not doing a whole lot of winning. Explain that to me, Tyler. Explain that to me.
So when you look at how many key talents they lost on offense and on defense, that defense is depleted. I think they brought back three starters.
Oh my God! Don't remind me, man.
It just didn't work out.
Perfect storm.
This year.
Injuries.
I was questionable about it going into the season because of all the stuff that they were lacking, but
academic success, suspensions, arrests. I don't know. It was bad.
Yeah, and when you start off the season with that huge game versus Texas, and you go down there and you lose, that momentum not in their favor.
Everyone was thinking that was like a top 10 game back in the day.
I was one of those people.
No, it was, I don't know. Notre Dame was predicted to go like 12-0 by some people, and like 11-0 by some experts, but 11-1. I mean, yeah. So I'm pretty upset about that, but I definitely do agree with you about the recruiting class thing. Sure, you'll have those dropouts, but we see down in the the SEC how good they're doing now and how good they've continuously been doing, and that's because they're in recruiting hotbeds. And I firmly believe that that's actually like a huge factor, if not the biggest factor, to team success. But Mike, do you have any questions for Tyler?
I just gotta say, no hate on you, Barrett. Okay, you were an awesome first guest. Just had to point out that you were so wrong about Notre Dame.
You fooled me, Barrett.
Huh?
He had him going. I think.
Yeah,
Okay, so in his
12-0.
original video on Bleacher Report, he had them going
12-0.
12-0,
and in the playoff.
Then after that, he had them going
11-1 or 10-2.
Yeah, or 10-2. Well, they all had the lowest. They had 4 experts on the show, and then or not on our show, on their video or whatever. And the lowest they had was an 11-1. That's insane to me.
Wow.
Now at 3-6 or 3-5, I think they're 3-5.
Still 3-5.
Hey, they beat Miami though last week. So
that NC State game was kind of
ridiculous.
Sketchy with the weather. So I don't really know if I can count that one as a win or loss for either team.
Yeah, and like a tsunami.
It's losing at NC State though. I'm the huge Notre Dame fan. I can't make excuses for these guys anymore. But
I gotta ask, what are your thoughts about Vandy, my Vanderbilt Commodores?
So Vanderbilt Commodores football season is pretty much over. So let's talk about basketball.
What?
You got
we could go to a bowl game. We could go to a bowl game.
Bryce Drew, former Valpo coach. Kevin Stallings now gone.
Oh,
I love
thank God.
Memorial Gymnasium. It's one of my favorite venues in sports.
What, just because the seats are in a different location?
And the benches?
The benches are in a different
It's
location.
awesome.
It's so crazy. It's one of my top-ranked arenas in the country because it's just so different. You walk in and you're just like, whoa, what is going on here? The floors are elevated a little bit. You got the funny-looking basketball goal. It's just a place that you have to be. Great atmosphere there. I love Vanderbilt's campus. I can't say enough about Vanderbilt.
I'm sorry.
I used to live in Nashville, so.
The hate coming from me from Vanderbilt has to do largely because of him, because pretty much like the whole population of Fairview Park, Ohio, does not like Vanderbilt. Does not like Vanderbilt. And
because of me.
Because of this man over here. Just me.
Wow.
They have a secret spot of haters, but they definitely have the biggest fan from him. So, yeah.
I'm so happy that somebody.
I don't understand it. We live in Northeast Ohio.
That somebody actually recognized our home court advantage, because, like, when you look at basketball,
I mean, it's hard to know that based on you guys' record over the years.
But when you look at basketball rankings for home court advantage, they go, this stadium's so loud. No, this stadium's so loud. No, this stadium's so loud. When they're all like the same thing. Where Vanderbilt, you actually have a coaching advantage because of the benches being on the opposite side.
Yeah, I would rank like you guys over like Duke's Cameron Indoor, you know?
I wouldn't go that far, but like not having us in the top 20 is a bit ridiculous. The reason Duke's so good at Cameron Indoor is because they have Jabari Parker and Brandon Ingram every single year. If Vandy had those guys in Memorial Gym, they'd be really good too.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys had Damian Jones.
They'd be good anywhere.
You guys had
Could be
Damian
good at USC
Jones.
Upstate.
Yeah. You had Damian Jones, Wade Baldwin, 2 other 7-footers, and you couldn't do that much last year.
I mean, one other 7-footer. I know.
Shockers, baby. It was all about the Shockers. I was in Dayton for that one. It was a phenomenal game.
No, it
I
wasn't.
love Wichita State.
That game was not
I
phenomenal.
apologize to you, Michael. I had to go with the Shockers, but I am partial to Memorial Gym. I do. Have you been there?
Twice.
All this talk about
Twice.
basketball.
For two wins.
Beautiful campus. Do you want to go there for school? It's expensive.
Yeah, but I'm not that smart.
I don't know if the GPA will hold you
Yeah,
back.
it's tough to get in. It's the Harvard of the South, man.
Yeah. But,
So
This all this
you
talk is
are
gonna
that
be
negative about our football team?
I mean, give me what I should say positive about.
I think we go bowling at 5-7 with the win over Missouri.
Oh Lord, not the 5 guys. I hate bowl games.
I
hate
know.
them.
He
I hate
always
bowl
talks
games.
about a
5
bowl
and
game.
7
A 5-7
teams
bowl.
Get in.
Yeah.
Last year you had 2 conference
Yes.
games, Mountain West playing each other.
Just give me the New Year's 6. Just give me the New Year's 6, please. I hate all these little bowl games.
It's extra practices. Look what it did for Nebraska this year. They got to a bowl game at 5-7. They won the bowl game. They got some momentum, and now look at them.
some momentum that did not carry over. That had no effect.
You do not know the value of
Hey,
extra practice
Vandy gets to a
time.
bowl game a lot, and they can't carry anything over.
Well, yeah, that's because James Franklin was just like, offensive line. What's that? Let's just not recruit that for 3 years, and let's give Derek Mason the job.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Derek Mason. I just think it's gonna work out there. And when Vanderbilt decides to score over like 120 points in the SEC conference play, then maybe we can chat a little bit more about Vanderbilt.
But do we give up that many points?
No, you don't give up that many points. But when you got that style of offense, you're not. Hopefully, you don't give up that many points.
Yeah.
That'd be trouble. So I apologize for rating on the Vandy 5-7 bowl game parade, but I can't get on board with that. They're better than Missouri.
Wait, Tyler, before we end up here, I wanted to ask you if you were an NBA fan, if you were keeping up with the season or anything like that.
Yes.
You do?
NBA fan, always and forever. This is my first season without Kevin Garnett, so.
Oh, you're a
You know,
boss?
that was rough.
You're a
That was rough.
Timberwolves fan?
Oh yeah, I love the Wolves.
Timberwolves
I think
fan, all right.
We have a product on the floor that I can actually root for right now. Like I'm
Wow,
happy.
yeah,
about it.
that's
I got
a
the
great
future.
young nucleus. You're
Yes,
welcome for
it's
shipping you
perfect.
Wiggins, by the way.
Yeah.
Wiggies, yeah. Well, see, I like the Cavs too. I like the Cavs and the Timberwolves.
No, yeah.
So when they make that trade, I
You were
wanted
ecstatic.
Wiggins to stay with the Cavs, and then we'll get a Kevin Love in the offseason. We could have got Kevin Love. So now we have LeBron,
Yeah.
Wiggins, Irving. We could have got a big man.
Yeah.
Maybe LaMarcus Aldridge wants to come aboard. I don't know. That
Yeah.
would be crazy.
But so I love this NBA season. I think is shaping up to be one of the best ones in a long time. Really exciting.
Nick just can't stop talking
But
about this.
we were talking about baseball earlier, football. I wanted to see what you were thinking about. I love this topic. What you
Okay.
think is going to be like the most watched, viewed sport in the next like 5 years, maybe even the new America's sport, America's most loved sport. I know NFL ratings are down. Baseball is not. I mean, we had a World Series in Cleveland, and I've heard so many
Everyone's
people
gonna forget about it.
I've heard so many people saying that it was really boring to watch, even when we were in the playoffs. So, I would like to see. I would like to see what your thoughts
Fairview's
are,
just
Tyler.
not a school.
No, not Fairview. Cleveland, Ohio.
So, I personally think that college football, I think, is the one that's going to take over.
Over professional sports.
I
Wow.
think the NFL is going to be tough to top because even when the NFL's down, they're still the top dog.
Yeah, by
So,
far.
Until the NFL actually really, truly falters, college football is probably going to be second. NFL is going to hold its ground. I think you're going to see the rating. Like that Packers game, those ratings had to be amazing. The Cowboys-Eagles game, they had some competition. on the TV, so that might be why they're down. But overall, I think it's going to be. I think college football is going to be right there with the NFL. I think with college football, you have a wider spectrum. Therefore, you can attract more fans, like SEC Nation, Big Ten Nation. Yeah. If Penn State can become, a team, I'll be happy about that.
Now, Tyler, where do you think the NBA ranks in that, though?
So the NBA, here's where I think the NBA has got to find another person other than Curry for when LeBron leaves. Who's that going to be? Is it maybe Andrew Wiggins? But he's going to be in Minnesota.
Oh, you don't think that there's a plethora of young talent? We had a list early on: Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Karl Anthony Towns. There's so many young talents. So that's why Kyrie. I had a whole list up.
Kristaps, D'Angelo Russell, Damian Lillard.
Insane. So I'm thinking that.
I mean, I personally like all the guys that you just named. Anthony Davis, he's stuck down there in New Orleans. It's not a very good team.
No,
they have got
it's an awful team. You can say how it is, Tyler. It's an awful
It's a garbage team.
Full
garbage
scrubs.
roster.
That ownership, completely awful. They get a generational talent, and they surround it with a bunch of scrubs. It's awful down there.
Rick Evans, Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's rough down there right now. So I think we need to get the. I know that people argue that it doesn't matter anymore. You can look at Oklahoma City with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. But that was a new franchise. They came in, face of the franchise, elevated it. The Pelicans, I won't say that. The Pelicans have been there for a while now. Once the Hornets. Right. It's just not going to work. So Anthony Davis is kind of stuck. I think Timberwolves have a chance because they have two bright stars.
Yeah, they have many. I feel like Levine can get better. Chris Dunn, yeah.
Chris Dunn, last
question.
I love Chris Dunn. I really just like this Timberwolves team. The problem is the nation going to rally around the Minnesota Timberwolves? I know at one point with Garnett, I mean, it was pretty big time for me, but I don't know for the nation. Nation likes the Lakers. Yeah. Anthony Davis on the Lakers. Well, we got a story here. Anthony Davis with the Pelicans. I don't see the story.
No, he's just wasting his life down there. I swear, and he's locked up for the next 5 years. It just makes me mad. But Mike has the last question for you, Tyler. It was great having you.
All right.
Nick's gonna enjoy this last question. We've been having this debate with every single person we've talked about the NBA with.
Okay.
Which conference do you think is better in the NBA, the East or the West?
So I will preface this by saying that for once, I think the East is actually comparable.
Oh!
But the West is actually the better conference.
That's right.
The East is getting better.
That's what I'm saying.
You're like, oh, look at that team out there in New York with Derrick Rose, Kristaps, and Carmelo. That's like...
And you want to know who's on the bench?
It's a flashy team.
Kylo Quinn, their first guy off the bench. And this man's thinking
they're not going to make the playoffs.
Kylo Quinn, Norfolk State.
No,
time.
We have this debate all the time. I was actually outnumbered when we first brought this up. We have another co-host. So it was 2-1, and then we've gotten on the show.
Like
we've gotten so many people on the show, and they were saying I was stupid for that prediction. But I guess I have all the experts backing me up, and so he just had to take another L yet again. Thank you for delivering it to him.
I thought I took
a
yeah.
right when you said I think the East is, I was like, we got it, boys. And then you said comparable and not better.
But
they are improved. The Pacers, I think, are an interesting team. The Bucks, I think, 2 years from now will be an interesting team. The Celtics are a solid team. The Raptors are solid. But you go out west. I mean, why do you like the East? I guess is my question. Really the best.
I think that the middle of the conferences, so anywhere from 5 to like 14, I think the East is better at every single seed.
Really? That much better, though? I mean, we're talking about... We got the Timberwolves, who are a fringe playoff team. If they are in the East, you might as well lock them up for probably about 5 or 4.
No.
Yeah.
I totally disagree with that.
And I mean, goodness, I think the Pelicans might even be halfway competitive in there. They might be a fringe playoff team.
No.
The Pelicans, that's almost an ender right here. But it was great having you on the show. Thank you for siding with me. But now we're going to have to actually wrap it up for this episode of FHS Season Tickets. Again, thanks for coming on the show. It was great having you, Tyler.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Keep it up.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on.